Little croissant action. Hey, welcome to the stream, everybody. We are going to get started soon. Just need a couple more minutes to set up. And it looks like my 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 video is frozen. So we're off to a good start here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, now you can hear me. This is going well. Okay. How's everybody doing out there? um yeah, so now that my video is back and pretty sure my audio is going, let me know if anything else goes wrong. I'm gonna have to adjust my video screen in the next section too, so bear with me. It's funny because like up until the last like 30 seconds, I was ready to go. I hit start streaming, everything was working, and then as soon as it hit 3 o'clock, my Wi-Fi went out. My video stopped working. I forgot to turn my audio on. So things are going well for me, as you can see. But I'm still having fun, you know, just rolling with the punches. But yeah, my name's Christopher. I usually work in the Pearl District here in Portland, Oregon at the Wacom Experience Center. You can come check us out there when we're not all under quarantine. We have all of our latest Wacom products for you to try out. You can use the space as like a working center. It's really a cool spot. We just got a new projector apparently, and I haven't even been able to play with it yet, so I can like watch Star Wars on a big screen and all that. That's what I'm most stoked for. Yeah, technical difficulties. That's where we're at, but hopefully things have settled down now. Yeah, the Wacom Experience Center is quite lovely. Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and do stuff at the same time, multitask. That's what this is all about. So today, what we're gonna do, last week I did like an experimental Wednesday where I was taking macro photography and then combining it with photo manipulation and digital illustration. I'm gonna be doing something really similar, trying to push it a little bit further, trying to make a little bit more of a dynamic scene, and including a little bit more illustration with this shot that I took. The shot that I took is that you'll see in a second, some moss in the backyard, and I thought it was really cool. So I thought I'd play with that a little bit. Shout out to Katie on the East Coast. Thanks for joining in. I know it's getting late there. It's like 6 o'clock. It's like dinner time. It's only 3 o'clock here for us. But yeah, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to have to change my camera, I'm pretty sure, on the next screen, so bear with me. Yeah, look at that, it's frozen still. Okay, we're gonna get rid of that. Doo-doo. Alright, here we are. Put me in a little corner. Get back in the corner. Center that up, make it look all professional. Okay. And let's jump into it. So this is, I'm gonna turn the music down a little bit. Can you guys hear the music? Is it doing anything for you? Sometimes I find it a little distracting, but sometimes I like it. Okay, here we go. So this is the shot that I took. It's of some moss and some stuff growing out of some moss. I thought it was pretty rad. Got some like crazy details in there, and with like any macro photography shot, it has a super shallow depth of field, so what's actually in focus is probably less than like a centimeter in depth. So yeah, what we're looking at right here is probably about the size of a quarter, which is, I think, super cool. And so what we're gonna do to this is, again, put it into like this underwater scene and kind of just push it further. Like, this already stretches my imagination quite a bit because it does kind of look like otherworldly. It looks kind of like maybe a swamp or something. But I'm gonna just try to make this my own thing and see where I can go with it. I've prepared some stuff already, so I'm not gonna like start from scratch on the illustration this time, because I want to add a little bit more to this. So I've done a little bit of prep work already. So here's our little guy. Obviously, it doesn't really look like he's underwater yet because the colors are all wrong, but this guy has a lot of like layers to him, and we're gonna get into it later. I did this yesterday, so I'm like trying to retrace my steps and be like, okay, what did I actually do? But what I want to work on right now is actually this part right here. So I've added some tentacles to this, and they look really out of place at the moment. They kind of look like they've just been like literally stuck on there, like some poorly photoshopped thing. But I'm gonna manipulate this a little bit, add some depth to it by creating some blur effects, and I'm also going to, I hope I'm still streaming because my Wi-Fi's been so weird lately. Yeah, so I'm gonna add some depth to it, add some texture to it, add some blur effects, and so most of it is actually gonna be like out of focus, kind of like the rest of the shot. I'm also going to do some clone stamping. I'm going to take some part of our original photograph and clone stamp it on top of the tentacles, so it kind of looks like the tentacles are coming out of the moss. And I think that's going to be step 2. First, I'm going to add some texture to it, and I'm going to hop back to OBS real quick. Okay, attack of the clone stamps. Okay, so I am still streaming. Sorry, everyone, my network connections are a little weird. And attack of the clone stamp is really funny. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so what I want to do, I've gotten some files prepped, and I found this texture that was quite lovely. I'm pretty sure it's coffee stains. And what I'm going to do is just going to take my move tool and drag it on top of my tentacle layer here. I'm going to create a clipping mask by holding down the Alt key, and over here on my layer panel, if I hold down the Alt key and go in between my two layers, you get this little drop down arrow, and if I click, it creates a clipping mask. I'm gonna take it out just for a second. So it's back here, and I'm gonna resize it. I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna like warp it a bit so it kind of matches the, not the tentacles like precisely. I'm not really going for precision, but like I could move these around so that like the texture also moved with the shape of the tentacle, which would be really cool. But I'm gonna just do all of these all at once, and then I'm gonna go to, well, I'm gonna say we're okay with that. Then I'm gonna go to like, I kind of like soft light. Hard light's kind of fun. I'm really just paying attention to what's happening inside the tentacle areas. Yeah, I think soft light is gonna be our winner. Or multiply. Let's go soft light. Alright, now we're gonna put it inside there. I'm gonna turn the opacity down on it to like, yeah, let's say like 46. I'm gonna put a mask on it, a vector mask, and I'm gonna paint out some areas. This is gonna be like super subtle, especially subtle if I'm not painting with the right color, but I'm just gonna take it off of some of the areas. Because what these coffee stains are really doing is like really subduing this purple, which is good. I think the purple is actually a bit too vibrant anyways, but I want to take the texture off of the little suction cups. I got a polar this time. Carter, if you're out there, this one's for you. Apologies for swapping back and forth on the screens. I might be doing that a couple times. Whatever. Do what I want. It's my stream. It's not really my stream. I'm like hijacking the Wacom Experience Center stream. Okay. That's cool. It just added a little bit of textures. It's got this like, it's got these coffee stains on it. You can do that with like any texture. I'm gonna do it later in another subject matter, and then I'm gonna add some metal textures to something. I think it adds just a really cool small detail to things, makes things a little bit more dynamic, and you can also create your own textures. Like I could have just gone into my brush panel and like found like a splatter brush to do this with, but you know, Google's already done it for me, so you know, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. So I'm going to duplicate my base layer here, my photograph, and I'm going to put it on top of everything. I'm going to put a mask on it and then invert the mask with Control I. Is that what I want to do? I could do that this way. Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change the brush to a much softer brush. That might be what I want to do. I've changed my mind. I'm deleting this whole thing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to get my clone stamp guy, and up here where it says sample, and right now it says current and below, I'm just going to choose current and below would be fine, because really what I want to do is sample my photograph. So either current and below or all layers. So I'm just going to sample right here, and essentially what the clone stamp does is I can take pieces of my photograph from another area. Like I could take the part that's in focus, I could take the sky up here, and if I alt click, I can be like, okay, I want to paint the sky down here, but obviously we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to take another like out of focus area, like over here. And I'm just gonna paint on top of my tentacle. Just a tentacly. And just kind of fake it. So it kind of looks like the tentacle is behind some stuff. I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna toggle this on and off for a second. Now the end result, well, the next step, I'm going to blur these tentacles. So I'm not super, I don't need to be like super precise here. But now this part, I'm gonna need, this part is actually in focus, so I need to sample a piece that is that's also in focus. Now you can kind of like mess this up, kind of like lose the effect, because like this, whatever this thing is right here, it's pretty discernible, and I shouldn't clone stamp it twice, otherwise it looks fake. We don't want that. We don't want like repeating imagery. This is looking a bit better. Cool. I'm gonna undo that. Just trying to make this a little bit more believable. You know what I'm doing? I'm like, why is this painting green so much? Because I'm using my regular brush tool. I'm like so into habit and just pressing B. B for brush, that I sometimes forget to go back to the tool that I want. And I did it again. I need S for clone stamp. I don't know why that's a thing. Cool. Alright, that's fine. I might tweak it a little bit more later. But I'm going to duplicate my tentacles here with Control J. Fun little keyboard shortcut for you. Oh, you know what's also fun? I need to go into my pen settings and enable Windows Ink. Essentially, what Windows Ink does is allows my operating system to recognize pen pressure, and I didn't have that on, and I was just like, man, I do not have any control right now, and now I know why. Alright, so I have a copy of my tentacles, which is great. What I want to do, I'm going to also create a copy of my texture that I made before and take the copy of the texture, copy of the tentacles, and I'm going to merge those two layers. So it is no longer a clipping mask, but their own just one complete layer. And I did that so I can go up to blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. That way I can blur them both together and I don't have to blur them separately. See here, that looks pretty good. And so now what I have is two layers. I have a blurry tentacle layer and a regular tentacle layer. And if I add a layer mask to the blurry tentacle layer, I can paint it out and reveal the layer below it, which is in focus. And because I'm using a pressure sensitive brush, I can actually like have a bit of a fade, so I can kind of be like a 50% focus, if that makes sense. Like it's almost getting there. And I want this one to be the most out of focus. Might actually even create, duplicate that layer again. So now I have 3 layers of this. So yeah, I have 3 layers, and I'm just going to blur it even more. Because I want this one to be like really out of focus. That's pretty good. So we went from that to now having that. I feel like we kind of lost this like feeling of a crevasse though, which it's not so bad. Cool. So next up, we're gonna work on this guy. And for that, I need a new brush. There's some stuff on this guy we need to tweak. Like, there's just some line stuff I need to clean up, but I'm gonna worry about that later. I'm gonna try to be organized here and put all my tentacles into one group. And I'm gonna name it. Oopsies. So for these, I've been using an oil brush. It's a very basic oil brush. Not super complicated. I was working off of a reference for this guy. I'm gonna open a couple things. This thing I stole from the internet, and hope they don't mind. Then I'm also gonna open up another texture. I have this metal texture, and I feel like every time I look at a shark, it's got like scratches all over him. So I wanted to kind of add that texture to the shark in the end. So I'm gonna keep that up there. Whoa. What happened here? There we go. Jeez. I'm just gonna keep this here for reference if I need to like flip back to it. I'm gonna kind of mess with the colors on it, but if I need an idea of like basic shape or anything, it's good that I can come back to it. So what I've done here is like blocked out the basic colors of the shark with a very basic brush, and that brush does not blend very well. It has kind of like opacity settings, which can help you blend, but it doesn't blend colors together. And that's where like the mixer brush and the brushes that mimic oil painting really come in handy, because I could put like green in here, and that green is going to mix with the colors that are already there. And I can tell it to, if I come up here to the slider at the top, if I bring it all the way to the right, then it's going to mix with the colors that are already down more than the colors I already choose. So it's like you can't even like see, there's like no green being added to this. But if I bring that mix to the left, then I like to think of it as like I'm mixing the color over here. If I bring it to the left, otherwise I don't know how to remember this. So when the mix slider is down to 0, it's mixing mostly the color that I've chosen, and it's almost acting as if like the paint on the canvas is dry. But if it's all the way to the right, then the colors that are already on the canvas are going to be the colors that show up more, if that makes sense. It's a pretty neat feature, but it's essentially saying how much paint do you want on your brush and how wet do you want your canvas to be, which I think is a pretty cool feature and a cool thing that they're thinking about when like trying to solve these problems for creating digital tools. But yeah, I'm pumped that it's Friday. Except it's gonna rain this weekend. I was pretty stoked about doing some yard work. Our lawn needs to be mowed. Now this is the part where I think, if anyone's out there, if you're listening, I need the most help because it's really hard for me to draw and talk at the same time. It's like that part of my brain just stops working and I like glitch out a bit. Something I'm pretty stoked about today. I think after this Twitch stream, we'll probably eat dinner, but no, I don't know. Love me some mixing. I don't know. I'm gonna think about dinner, but what I'm really excited about is the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series. There's a new episode out tonight. And I think it's one of the last episodes, if not the last episode. I'm gonna go back to my reference. What's a shark look like? Oh yeah. The webcam froze. It's kind of a big deal. It's really annoying. I'm making a stupid face in it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wacom, I need a new webcam. Ask and you shall receive. I'm doing like old school, like unplug it, blow on it, and then plug it back in like it's a N64 cartridge. There we go. Get back in your corner. Okay. Hopefully I stay not frozen for a while. Thanks, Guy Mallrats. Much appreciated. I'm gonna get this in there. I'm gonna get this little tail guy. I'm gonna add some detail to this little fin here, but kind of like the tentacles, I want this to be out of focus. I want the only part of the shark to be in focus is like his eyes and his mouth. You know, the intimidating parts, the business parts. So what I really want to worry about here is just getting the right colors down, because that's really all you're gonna be able to see. Hop around a lot when I'm painting with the mixer brush. Oh my god. USB device not recognized. Did I freeze again? I think I froze again. I froze again. And I got a stupider face this time. Ay, ay, ay. I'm gonna keep drawing for a little while and pretend like I'm not frozen. There, now you can see everything. I'm firing my IT guy. who's also me. I think what I was saying is when I'm using the mixer brush, I like to jump around a lot. I don't want to get like stuck on one place for too long. Especially, I think, for the effect that I want to try to get. I think that if I don't really want to get caught up in the details of something that's going to just be blurry and out of focus anyways. Oh yeah, I turned the camera off. I said no more. No more will I allow this camera to control this stream. I'm in control. I'm sure my grandma's out there being all mad because my camera's out. I'm sorry, Grandma, I still love you. So right now, I'm just kind of blending colors and giving it kind of more of like a painterly effect with that oil brush, that Earl brush. My name is Earl Brush. Give him some teeth. So, if we want to talk about video games for a second, I just beat Final Fantasy VII, so looking for my next video game. The Last of Us 2 has just been announced that it's coming out in June, which is super exciting. But yeah, looking for a new video game to play. Looking for something to dive into. I'm not playing Animal Crossing. I've already decided. Nothing against it. I think it's actually a pretty cool game. I can't. I don't want to. I need more action. I want to jump around and shoot stuff. Whoopsie daisies. Grandma said I need to talk more on my streams. I'm trying my hardest. But yeah, real excited to watch Attack of the Clones tonight. Pretty stoked about my favorite Jedi. It's back in the game, Ahsoka Tano, which is pretty rad. I might get like black and do this eye. I think I want there to be like a light source coming from this guy's lantern, and I want to add like a big like overarching vignette to this whole thing. So I want the left side of the shark to be darker than the right side, and I might add like a what's called a rim light to some of this shark to kind of give that glow effect. This is pretty experimental for me. This is not my. I don't know if you've if you follow me on Instagram, I've been drawing cartoon chickens lately, so this is kind of like out of my comfort zone. I was not really trained as like a traditional painter. And Carter's probably over there like cringing at what I'm doing, but I'm having fun. So that's all I really care about. But what am I trying to say? I think I want to make the left side of the shark dark and the right side or the right side of him bright. That's what I'm trying to say. So I just need a darker blue over here. Cause it's got that like white underbelly, but it's it's not, when he's underwater, it doesn't really come across as white. It's really blue. I'm like gesturing with my hands and like talking to the camera as if it's still there. It's comforting to me, but it's not there. I might try to get the camera back up and running in a little while, but right now it was just a distraction. Oh yeah, he's looking mean and grizzled right now. Been working in the garden some, planted some sunflowers the other day, and they're starting to come up. Pretty stoked about that. Like stoked about the outside world right now, and like the backyard. It's like a new blade of grass like grows. I'm pretty happy about it. Actually, quite literally, I'm growing grass right now, which is fun. I've just planted some grass. Give him some top teeth. Why not? I want to switch back to my reference for a second. I want to see what his mouth looks like. Okay. So it's like bottom part comes up and it's kind of like overtaken by the top half here, if that makes any sense. Kind of like painting with the mixer brush because there's not really any erasing. Like I wouldn't erase this, I would just paint over it with a similar color and it's gone. Let's zoom in here for the folks so we can see what we're dealing with. I want to add like an almost black to this outside edge over here where it's not white, where he's not the white of the great white, to just kind of show that it's in shadow. But it is like thick, and I want to show that it's got some volume. So like the side of his fin is going to be like this blue gray, and the top of it is going to be this dark blue. I just want to clean up some of these edges with my eraser. I just said I don't erase with the mixer brush, but you know those edges need erased. Gotta clean up the edges. Clean up your act, Mr. Shark. Shark boy. Okay, I'm gonna work on this flipper over here. Is it flipper? Fin? Flipper? Flipper. Let's talk about flipper for a second. So the first drive-in movie I've ever seen as a little kid. It wasn't very good. Or maybe it was. I remember I had a good time. But I remember my parents wouldn't let me sit on the roof of my car. Of their car. And I was like upset because like some kids next to us were sitting on the roof of their parents' car, and I was like, I want to be cool. And so I think that's what ruined the movie for me, is I was not able to sit on the roof of the car. We didn't go back. I think it was probably a nightmare for my parents. Just watching Flipper while their kids climbed all over the car. We're not baby sharking. No baby shark. Shark's got like a really fun nose, little boop nose. Boop. I'm adding white to some areas on the right side of him, and I'm doing that because ultimately I want to add yellow, and if I add yellow to blue, I think it'll kind of get muddy. And so I'm just doing a layer of white. Let's try it. I'm going to sample some yellow from over here, and I'm going to do a little rim light. Kind of cool. I'm into it. It's kind of weird. I might not be into it. I'm gonna do it anyways. There's no going back. We're doing it live. I'm gonna go back to my reference. For some of this stuff, for some of the shading, I'm kind of like making it up as I go along, but having that reference there is pretty useful. I haven't drawn enough sharks in my life to like paint them from memory. One day. I always think like it's like a funny thing when people say like, oh, I can't draw from memory. Drawing from memory is hard. And I don't think for most people you can't just like draw something from your memory. You have to build up like a visual library, and you have to draw a bunch of things over and over again in order to be able to like recreate them and kind of figure out how they work on paper. And eventually you can draw something from memory, but not right out of the gate. Like if you told me to draw a train, I couldn't do it. But if I drew like 50 trains. You know, then I might be able to. So it's all about, like, I think illustration and just being able to, like, doodle for fun. It's all about, like, building up that visual library in your mind and just keep drawing. Just draw something new every day. I'm gonna put my pen down for a second. Oh, I can't show you what I'm working on. I want to show you guys something. I'm gonna attempt something. I'm gonna attempt to bring the camera back. We did it. Okay, so we'll see how long this lasts. But I've been, for fun, going through the artwork of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is, like, super cool. They do, like, a bunch of, like, character sketches and environment sketches. And so I've been kind of going through here and doing my own takes on some of the characters, copying some of the characters, trying to just see how the original artists and animators drew, like, how they define shapes, and so that's been pretty fun. Plus, Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably the best show ever. It's not just the best cartoon. It's not just the best Nickelodeon show. It's the best show ever. And if you want to fight me on that, then prepare to be wrong. Okay. I am going to do some highlights on here. So I'm going to go up to the mix and bring it mostly, probably like to 10% of the color. I want to, because I want the lines that I'm about to make to be kind of hard. So I don't really want them to mix into the canvas too much. And what's nice is with the pressure sensitivity of my Wacom pen, if I do a really light touch, then I have a lighter mark, and if I do a heavy touch like so, then I get a much darker line. My video froze again, so I'm just gonna get rid of it again. Alright, it's not coming back. Megan, pretty stoked about your mandalas. They look great. I'm gonna take some of the cartoons that I've been drawing. So, as Wacom employees, we were asked to make pieces of a coloring book, or just like a book with activities to do to give to seniors during this time of isolation. So maybe give them something to do, make them feel a little bit less lonely. So I'm donating some stuff that I've actually done on this Twitch channel, some cartoon stuff, which is very different than what I'm doing now. but they'd be great to color on your own. So I'm just gonna donate the line work to this coloring book. The Diesel Weasels, I don't know if anyone remembers those. Alright, shark's not look too bad. I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. Oopsie daisies. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna take my metal. I'm gonna take my move tool and bring it over to here. I'm gonna transform it, give it the little flip. And I think I'm either gonna use screen or multiply. I'm gonna make the clipping mask and see. I think it's gonna be screen. Let's see, soft. Actually, I like soft light. Soft light's been the winner lately. And I'm gonna turn down the opacity. See, it doesn't really do much. It just adds a little bit of a scratchy texture to him, which I like. Okay. I'm going to duplicate those. I'm going to merge. Did I duplicate it? I didn't duplicate it. There we go. I'm going to merge these two top layers. So now I have this like, I got two shark boys. Really should have cleaned this up. Hold on, time out. Clean up this top part here. There, that looks better. This fin wasn't really looking very three-dimensional. Alright, I'm gonna add that layer back on. Make a duplicate. Merge those two layers so the metal layer and the shark layer become one. Metal Shark. Maybe a song? Band name? I don't think it's good enough for a band name. Metal Shark. I think it's a song. Oh yeah, and then we're gonna go up to filter, go to the blur, go to my favorite Gaussian blur. Still don't know how to properly pronounce it. Let's go somewhere in there. Cool. I'm gonna get my soft brush, just the softest of brushes. So I've kind of come into a little bit of a problem because where I've started to blur things out, you have this like hard edge effect that is happening, and what that is because the edge of my top shark has become like really blurry. It's actually extended past my original shark, and the bottom layer, the bottom shark is showing through. That's what I'm trying to say. The bottom shark is starting to show through. So what I'm going to do is add a mask to that one. And just paint it away. And it kind of makes that blur effect that much better and that much more convincing. It's convincing, that's what it is. Cool. Yeah, it looks pretty neat. Pretty stoked about it. Go Shark Boy. I think I'm gonna... I don't know. I want to keep working on them, but like for the sake of like the stream, I want to like move on a bit and like move on to some other stuff. But I like his colors. This is a good Shark Boy. I like the depth that that blur just created. Very happy with him. Very pleased. Okay, but I'm gonna move on. I think I might come back. I'm gonna take a little seltzer break. Excuse me. And we're back. That seltzer was amazing. I got the grapefruit one. It sounds like Gaussian. Gaussian. Gaussian? Gaussian? Yes. Okay. So let's make this underwater. So let's get a new layer. Let's get our... I'm pressing Shift G, and that toggles through the paint bucket tool, the gradient tool, and then this other paint bucket. I have no idea what it is. What is it? 3D material drop tool. That's too advanced. We're not doing that. All right, so, and then at the top here, we are going to get our linear gradient and make sure two colors are selected, and we want a light blue and a dark blue. So for our foreground, we're going to do this light blue. For our background, I'm even going to go a little bit purple with it. And we want that dark blue up there. And bam! Look at that. It's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Cool. So essentially what that did is wiped out all of our colors. So what I'm going to do is bring the opacity down on it. You know what? I'm going to try something different. I'm going to put a mask on it. And then I'm going to do a gradient from top to bottom. Because essentially, the further down you go underwater, the less colors there will be. So it would make more sense. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but like the top of the picture would have more colors than the bottom. I might be overthinking this. I think somewhere in here might be okay though. Maybe that. I'm not so in love with the blue that I chose though. Let's try this again. Bear with me while I try to get just the right shade of blue. Alright. I think we made it. I think this is what I want. I think this is it. So now we're gonna add a vignette, because that's what I was talking about earlier. I thought that'd be neat. We're gonna do like a really dark blue vignette, almost black. We're gonna get our paint bucket. We're gonna just do that, and then we're gonna do our gradient tool. Instead of doing a linear gradient, we're gonna do a radial gradient. Bam. That looks pretty good. Are you singing under the sea as you are saying these things, Megan? Or Wacom Experience Center? Oh, and I should shout out to my moderators. I know Carter's in there somewhere. He's like keeping an eye out, making things are running smoothly, and Megan is our moderator. So thank you guys. Very much appreciated. Now we're gonna do those specky things. We're gonna get our paint bucket again. We're gonna paint this whole thing black, make it look oh so great. Then we're gonna go and add some noise to it, some like TV noise. That looks pretty good. Just gonna stretch this out. I think it'll read a little bit better like this. I'm gonna go up to filter, blur, the Gaussian blur. I'm just gonna blur some of these together. When I'm doing this, it kind of like makes some of the little black specks stick to the other black specks, and some of the white specks stick to the other white specks, if that makes sense. So it kind of clumps things together when you add a bit of a blur to it. And now I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna make the blending, change the blending mode to screen, and then I'm going to make an adjustment layer and go to levels. And I'm gonna move this up. And obviously this looks, well, it actually kind of looks kind of neat in some ways, but it looks terrible in other ways. But I forgot to make a clipping mask, so the adjustment layer is only affecting our little specks. And I just want just a hint of specks. actually. I'm gonna zoom in here and see what this looks like. That looks good. I'm actually gonna add another blur to this. It will get rid of some of these, but also soften them up a bit. That looks pretty good. Oh man, I forgot to do something about this shark. I'm going to duplicate this shark. I'm gonna hide one of them. I'm gonna add a mask. Because I want these things to be in front of our shark. I kind of forgot about that. I was all excited to do this part. And then I forgot. This is the whole reason I took the photograph. These little thingies, whatever they are. Little seed pockets. Can't tell if this one should be in front or not. Or if it should just be underneath them. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm gonna clean this up though. Okay, it's not so bad. All right, we're getting there. So, something I want to try. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I want to add a glow that goes from the lantern and kind of touches some of the ground, some of the shark, and some of the tentacles, and some of his body. We are gonna see if it works. I'm not entirely sure I'm gonna be able to pull this off, but we're gonna try. Our music is getting really weird. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get our radial gradient. We're gonna change the color so we're not using both our foreground and background. We're gonna only use the foreground. And obviously, like right out of the gate, this doesn't really work. But if I change the blending mode, oh, well, overlay looks, we can get weird with this. Overlay looks pretty cool, to be honest. But I'm gonna do soft. I'm thinking either soft light or color are gonna work. I think color is a bit too much. I think soft light is probably gonna do it for us. Multiply screen. Yeah, I think it's gonna be soft. Soft light has been our winner this whole time. So I'm gonna get rid of our marching ants. That's kind of neat. I'm gonna change something really quick. And so when you make a selection, you can go up here to select, and you can go to modify, and you can go to feather. And I'm going to feather the edges of this by like, let's try 30 pixels and see what that looks like. Then we're gonna go back to our paint bucket tool. That's not so bad. Let me see here. I think it's a little intense, so I'm going to bring the intensity down. I'm going to add a layer mask to it. I think I'm like figuring this part out as I go along. So it's kind of experimental. I'm just gonna take this opacity brush and kind of get rid of the edges. I'm gonna paint it out in some areas, like it wouldn't show up on this side of the shark. I'm not hating this. I think what we need to do is adjust the contrast of the whole thing. So I'm gonna add an adjustment layer, and I'm gonna bump the contrast up a quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty flat, and so I'm just gonna bump the contrast up. Yeah, I like that. Cool. I think I'm gonna make our vignette a bit stronger too, and I think I'm gonna add the vignette layer. Above our light layer, and I'm gonna change our light because I don't really like the color of it. I'm gonna make it more orange. I thought I could get away with just using an orange radial gradient, but that's not going to work. So I'm going to go to channel mixer, and I'm going to add and make sure it's clipped to I don't want channel mixer. That's not the one I want. I'm going to go to color balance. I'm going to clip the color balance to my light layer. I'm just going to add some red to it, maybe. Yeah, that's better. I like that. I just wanted to add a little bit more orange to the glow. Okay, this is looking weird. I like it. Kind of into it. So I think there's just like a couple more things I want to add. I'm going to try something else. I prepped this earlier, and I don't know if it's going to work. You know what? I haven't hit save this entire time, so I'm going to hit save. Then I'm going to go up to File, Open, and I got this ship. Pretty sure this is like the Flying Dutchman from Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna just take my move tool. Shortcut for that is just V. I'm gonna get rid of this. Woo, this is fun. And I'm gonna put my pirate ship below all the layers. Oh, I put him inside the diver layer. That's not what I want. I want him put underneath that. And I'm going to move this. Do one of these. Okay. Now I'm going to lock the transparency of this layer, the transparent pixels. I'm locking the transparent pixels, that's what I'm doing. And I'm gonna pick a blue, and I'm just gonna paint this whole thing blue. Oh, a bubble brush. I should probably play around with that. I'm gonna paint this whole thing blue. I also have like some nonsense going on down here, so I'm going to just paint some of that out with a clipping mask. I'm gonna get my soft brush, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do my favorite thing ever. I'm gonna blur it out. Get that Gaussian blur. Why am I not blurring it? Oh, I have to unlock it. Filter. Blur Gaussian blur. And I want this to be like in the background very subtly. Like just so you can just barely tell that that's a pirate ship. I think that's good. I'm gonna pick a different blue because I think that one is a bit too obvious. I don't think it would be that dark. That's not bad. There we go. I think that's the one I want. Okay. Now, there's like some like greenery and stuff over here, and this would like not look very good if it was just like sitting there. Also gonna make it a little bit smaller. And I think I'm gonna tip it up a bit. Going to duplicate my photograph, and I'm going to put it on top of my pirate ship, and I'm going to make a mask, and then I'm going to invert the mask and take my soft brush and paint some areas back in. Gucci blur. Yeah, lately, well, with like these macro photography stuff I've been doing, like everything is just out of focus, and it's really nice because when I draw something I can just blur it out, and so I don't have to draw as much, and I can just focus on like really small specific areas to get the detail that I want, which is pretty satisfying. So that's not bad. I'm gonna keep that pirate ship. You know what I should have done is I should have put a treasure chest like right under the shark. That's what that diver's here for. This diver comes down, he doesn't know what he's in for. He's like, oh, treasure chest, and then it's being guarded by like the Kraken and then the shark boy. But yeah, I think that would kind of complete this if I had a treasure chest down here. Because right now I have like 4 subjects, and that's not good. We need 5. Like that's art, right? That's what you're supposed to do in art. You're supposed to have an odd number of things. I'm gonna clean up this diver because it's starting to bother me. Just need to fix the rope. Yeah, I should have one more thing in here. What time is it? It's 4:30. We've come up on like an hour and a half of this stream, and I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot I like to go for. I mean, if I got someone's attention for like 30 seconds of the stream, like, bless your heart. Thank you so much for tuning in. But I think an hour and a half is kind of what I like to aim for. Golden ratios, odd numbers. That's what you're supposed to do. So, here's a fun little trick in Photoshop. You hold down the Alt key and you go over to your layer panel and you click on one of the eyeballs, it will solo a layer for you, so I can just look at one of the layers at a time. And this was the original photo that I started with. And I think that's pretty funny. Because now this is what I have. I need to like figure out what some like more stuff to photograph. So if anyone has like ideas for that, I think next week I'm gonna do less photography stuff and like a little bit more illustration stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to add to this guy before calling it quits. This might have been it. Pretty satisfied. What's happening? Oh, that's what's happening. Just getting nitpicky with some of this stuff. Seeing some stuff I could have blurred out. I just Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this off to Carter, and he's going to animate it. The wire, the cable is going to like swing a bit. The tentacles are going to grab the guy's leg, and then the shark's going to come over and bite his arm off. So tune in next week to see that. Our animation wizard is going to work his magic on this. So that'll be something to look forward to. But other than that, I think we're just about done here. Pretty satisfied with this outcome. It's pretty weird, and I like it. I might tweak it, but check me out on the Instagrams under Chris Diego Art, and also the Wacom Experience Center. Let me see if I can put up a screen for you guys. Yeah, I just want to say thank you all for joining. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in. This was fun for me. I'm glad I could do it. And if anyone has any questions about the process or what I did, definitely get a hold of us. You can find us on the social media handles, which are posted here. But other than that, everyone, I hope you have a great weekend. This is an excellent way for me to end the week. And we'll see you next time.
You